Podcast like a motherfucker.
Welcome to Hammer Time Podcast, episode number.
Yeah, welcome back. It's only been a few weeks. This is unprecedented.
Yeah, I feel like we're really pushing into new gear with the podcast. To be honest.
Yeah, I don't know if it's working. I haven't really been paying attention to how many people are listening. Probably not that many, but at least once we have a few under the belt, we can start marketing ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's probably better not to care too much about it in the beginning, because it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit like I just recall when you were on YouTube and you surf into somebody's like new channel and you could tell that they're putting in a lot of effort, but they have like 100 views or something, and you're like, well, if you're looking at the view count, then you compare yourself to some like shitty YouTuber that has like millions and they put out like trash content.
Well, maybe we just need to put out more trash content.
Yeah, exactly. Flood the zone.
Yeah, exactly. So it's Henrypmiller and Casimir the Swede, as usual.
Yes.
Um, If you're listening, make sure that you join the Discord and get in touch with us there. Give us some feedback, and you can follow and see what we're painting and join in the hobby chats and that kind of thing as well. So the link will be in the show notes. Today we're going to talk about the usual segments, and the show today is mostly going to be about the Tyranids, and something that both Casimir and we're sort of say unfamiliar with it, but I've done a bit of research, and I think it could be quite interesting to go into
I've
some
done my
detail
own
on this one.
research
A
and
little
I
bit of
have some
research.
theories.
I have some theories. Yeah, we'll see. So that's going to be the main topic today. But first up, Casimir, what's been up in the new releases and news today, or they say the last since we last recorded?
Yeah, man, just a sea of stuff. I feel like dude, it's so nice to actually be interested in one of the mainline products,
Yeah.
from Warhammer,
Like
because
back in
it's
the
like
day when it was Warhammer Fantasy, and it was like, what's been the news? There's been no news for 6 years.
yeah, exactly. They're like, maybe you'll get an army book in like. Do you remember that when they previewed the army books in like 3-4 months before they would come, and you'd be like, oh, there's gonna be two kings in like half a year. Amazing. And now it's just now it's like every day. It's every Monday. There's a new reveal all the time. It's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, I
you were
also feel like
so
you get like the say like the sneak peek, and then 2 weeks later the models are there.
yeah. It's pretty cool. I feel like they time it quite well. Like it's the perfect time where I think if you see it too early, then you like lose the enthusiasm when you're like, oh well, it's been like 2 months or whatever, and I just don't care about this anymore, so to say. So you
Yeah,
wanted
exactly.
to build in the right way.
And I think that's, if anything, that's kind of a compliment towards Games Workshop. Say change in marketing over the last, at least, I mean, since we were playing Ninth Age, probably the last 10 years. So now we've kind
Yeah,
of come back to Games Workshop and like, wow, they're actually doing good marketing now. You get
yeah,
excited for
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's been a gradual improvement, I would imagine. But it's kind of like it's like being hooked into the heroin now when you're when you suddenly go from like nothing to everything at once.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what's the latest thing that's popped up?
Yeah, so yeah, we can start with the new knight. I think that's the latest thing, just a couple of days ago, or I guess
Yes,
yesterday even. So
yes.
it's a knight destrier. So one of our friends informed us that this is like a plastic version of a previous like Forge World resin kit, with this like tall and thin knight model that I guess will have be faster, maybe more close combat oriented in the actual game.
Yeah, I guess it's somewhat in between the two nights that are already out. At least you can see on the
Yeah,
community website that there's like the big night, it's a bit smaller, and the small night, it's a bit bigger. So it's sort of a medium
yeah.
sized mech.
I think this is also like a really good direction to go because like making an even bigger big knight at some point it's just like you will not be able to have more than one or two moles in a game, and that's probably not very fun. So better to like make this like middle size a bit more fleshed out.
Yeah, and you can't really go smaller, right? Because then it just becomes like a Wraith Lord or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
the equivalent is for the Imperium.
Yeah.
But
So what
I'm
do you
not
think of
sure.
it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the same as what I played against. Are the rules already out for this, or is it just like a completely new model with new rules as well? Do you know?
I don't know because I know like looking at it, I have seen something that looks very familiar, like from Forge World in the past, but I would
Okay.
assume that they get a new data sheet as well.
Yeah,
Or maybe there was
probably right.
maybe you could take these in like legends before or something. You
Yeah,
know how they
that's
put
what
some of the
I
models there.
wasn't sure because I played against something called a Lancer, but I guess this is a Destria, but it looked a bit similar, which is why I was
Yeah,
confused for a very quick second. But I think in general it's pretty nice. I think I like it more than the other ones, actually. Like the really big one to me seems a bit kind of like clunky in some way.
yeah,
But this one looks a bit more like it could run fast and it
yeah.
looks a
Do
little bit more
stuff.
dynamic in some way.
Yeah, I think the knights and also the titans sometimes they have the issue. You know, when we were playing fantasy and you would see like a dragon that had just way too small wings, and you just look at it, you go like, it just doesn't look like it could fly.
Yeah,
If you and I feel like some of the mechs are a bit like that, where you just like it just doesn't look like it would move, you know, or do
yeah.
anything.
It just looks they look very static. But this
Yeah,
one looks quite dynamic. Maybe it's just the way that it's posed, or like the way that the joints are, and the legs. I'm not sure, but I think it's really nice.
yeah. Yeah, and it's not even that dramatic. It's like kind of just twisted to the side and having that
Yeah,
like the legs braced and one a bit forward. It just looks yeah, it looks like it's gonna move. Let's say.
yeah. I don't know if there's sort of like a fluff reason behind, say, like the head looking like a sort of a 13th century, 14th century, like medieval knight, literally, like the
Yeah, I mean
visor. But
they're called knights, right? So I guess
yeah,
like I know the fluff is something like that. They're literally just like, oh, we're like these noble houses and we like protect these parts of the Imperium and you know and take time. So it's very like you
yeah,
know they're literally
medieval
knights, but in
feudal. Yeah.
space.
Yeah, but I think in general, I think it's really cool. I think the banner on the back is like a nice option, like an opportunity to do some cool freehand.
Yeah,
Obviously, there's loads of like big surfaces, and you can see
yeah, for
that
sure.
sort of on the Games Workshop paint job that they've done. They've done lots of little bits of freehand. Whether these are freehand or transfers, I don't know, but it's pretty cool. I don't know if there's a point of having the guy inside like painted because obviously you're just gonna put the like the different thing on, but
Yeah.
it's
I
there.
think that unless he's like really molded in, if he's like a separate part, I feel like you just save that bit and use it for, you know,
It's conversion of some
something
sort.
else in the future.
Yeah.
But because like I agree, it feels a bit stupid to like put on the plate. Maybe if you go for best painted, you can like magnetize it and like take it off during the voting and
Yeah.
go like,
Or
whoa.
you could maybe like get like a maybe there's an on Etsy you can buy like a see-through windscreen
Yeah, that'd be funny. Oh,
and so you
also,
can
what I
see the
want to
guy
talk
inside.
about, what I want to talk about is the fact that it has a single nipple gun. Like, what the hell? This one is like it's like a Slanesh knight, you know, with the like half boob thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. Maybe it's not a nipple Casimir. Maybe it's just a penis gun, but instead of in between the legs, it's in the armpit.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess that's a
It's
tight
just
space you could come out of.
a deformed penis gun. And anyway, but I think we like the knight. It looks cool. It's not really knight's not really my thing, but I think it's a nice model.
Yeah, yeah, same. I mean, like I at some point I'd like to get a Chaos Knight, but probably more like if I was more enthusiastic about it when it was seemed like oh you ally this into your like existing army rather than going like oh I'm gonna have four of the same model and that's my army kind of.
Yeah, I think what we should do is we should give it a sheep rating out of 4 sheep.
Okay, I'm
Or
gonna go ahead and give this.
was it 3 sheep? I can't remember what we were doing before.
Let's say four now for the new era. 40k, four sheeps,
Yeah,
perfect. I
okay.
will say I'm gonna give this free sheep because I think it's pretty cool. But I agree, like it's not. I'm not gonna rush out to buy this.
Yeah, I would also give this 3 sheeps. I think like in comparison to the last podcast that we did, where you had the Defiler, that was definitely like a 4-sheep model, but this one is a 3-sheep for me.
Yeah.
Cool. So the next one is the Archmagos Terminus and Skitari Heavies.
Oh yeah,
So
bunch of new stuff
these
for.
are some
Yeah.
new AdMech models. There's a character which looks pretty fucked up. I mean, I don't know that much about the AdMech, but
Oh.
there's not much. I think this is more mech than human.
Yeah, I guess it's like some kind of tech priest, and they're known to like modify themselves to, so it's supposed to be like a core of something that used to be human in there, and then just add on new limbs and legs and shit to do the stuff you want to do.
Yeah. To me, this is like back when I was like younger and collecting Warhammer Fantasy, this was kind of how I saw 40k, and I would see these very complicated models and just be like, what the fuck is this shit? And because to me, it's like a little bit too like, say, like dark future fantasy
Yeah,
thing. It's like a little bit over. Like I like things a little bit more, say, simple and natural.
sure.
But yeah, I mean that's probably also why I don't play AdMech. But
Yeah.
it's a really cool, it's a really nice model. Like it's very complicated and has a lot of detail.
Yeah, like I like the silhouette, but I agree with you. Like once you start looking closer, it's like he has a little robot arm holding some kind of cube,
Yeah,
something that looks like a little data panel, a book,
there's
and
a
then
lot going on.
yeah, and it's like you could probably like chop off a bunch of this stuff, or at least make them a bit simpler. Like maybe they don't need to hold like a unique item; it could just be a little gun or
Yeah,
whatever,
there's like a skull like printing out receipts at the top.
Yes, this
You've
is like the
got
future personal assistant,
Yeah, this is what you would go to if you go to a supermarket on Mars, and this is what's behind the desk, and there's just like a little skull just printing the receipts for you.
Yeah. Also, if you look closely, it looks like the printer is kind of like a typewriter to me because it has like a little, like it looks like
Oh
it's a
yeah,
little
the holes.
square
Yeah,
where it's like
yeah, where
printing,
you
and then
slide it across.
exactly.
It's like they haven't quite got like was it like digital printers on Mars yet because they haven't found the STL drive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is for me. I do have a sweet spot for Mechanicum, and when we were starting, I was considering playing Mechanicum, but like probably making it some kind of chaos version.
Yeah,
But like as you hit on, like the issue is that it's like too complicated. Where I like the idea of it, but then like if I just try like what maybe not do it is that I imagined like okay I have to paint like 100 of these balls, and then I was like yeah I don't know, maybe I'm probably not I'm gonna enjoy the first 2 or 3 and then it's just gonna be a slog.
yeah. I mean, I guess for a character model, like it's okay that it's a bit complicated.
Yeah,
But otherwise, yeah, if this was like the level of all your rank and file guys, it would just be a bit extra.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, but otherwise, I mean, it's obviously like a nice, well done model, but for us, it's maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, sure.
However, they are called the next guys.
Yeah, there was a
Uh,
heavy Hastari infantry
yeah,
or something like that.
I guess that's alluding to the Roman things, and they kind of look a little bit Romanesque in the
Yeah,
in
I
the
don't
like.
really get why they're Roman. That like
Yeah, I don't know where that fits in with the Mechanicum, like I say, lore, but
Yeah,
these guys look pretty cool. I think, as you say, like these kind of things make me more interested to collect this faction because their infantry look really cool. I quite like this Skitari, like these guys with like the long rifles or whatever they are as well. They're quite
yeah,
cool, and these kind of fit into what I would imagine would be like a Mechanicum type army.
yeah. So I agree. Like my favorite part of Mechanicum is like the Skitarii stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna disagree, and I think these models I just really don't like. And I know a
Okay.
lot of our friends, like when people are sending out, they're like, "Oh, so cool, whatever." But I don't like that they're so like hunched over forward. They look off balance to me, which is like the thing I don't like them about them. Like they remind me of these like there's some older like orc sculpts, like the flash kits I think they're called,
Uh-huh.
where they have this like massive guns. And you just look at the model, you go like, yeah, I mean, I know it's fantasy or whatever, like I know it's not real, but he can't, like he's so hunched over he's gonna fall over, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's what these look like a bit to me.
I agree with you, but I think if there's one, say, like model that can actually do that, it's probably like a robot with super reinforced limbs. They're probably okay if they're like leaning forward a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, fair enough. I would like. I guess maybe you could. I don't know how the kit goes together, but you
Like
just
maybe
like
lean
tilted the.
them back a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, you just tilt the torso bit back like slightly, because like all the other elements are fine. I just don't like that it's like, yeah, it just looks like they're tipping over.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit like when you're doing squats and your shoulders a little bit too far over your knees.
Yeah, exactly.
I quite like I'm looking at there's two different ones. Like the ones with like the longer guns look a bit more interesting to me, and
Yeah,
also the command or the leader, that is quite cool with the little
yeah,
like
the leader is cool for sure.
yeah, cool. So these guys are coming out, I think, in a couple of weeks. It says, um, and it also says at the bottom of the page that this is not all that will be joining us for the next big expansion.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty exciting.
yeah, so I think we've had the Maelstrom book, which I've actually bought on pre-order,
Nice.
and so we'll probably be doing a show about that at some point. But I think there's going to be a third book in the series of this like end of edition campaign, and
Yeah,
I think that there's probably going to be some more releases, like say like around like the Admech and the Iron Warriors, sort of going at it where like the Maelstrom is like the Red Corsairs and the Corsairs, the Eldar
yeah,
Corsairs, and maybe the next book in the series is maybe going to be like the Admech versus the Iron Warriors. That would be my. Is it
yeah.
Iron
And I guess
Warriors?
that's like
Yeah,
yeah. Iron Warriors is the other Chaos faction
yeah,
that's has been getting, like, when they talk about the Mutilators and Defiler, they seem to have really heavy focus on Iron Warriors.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's probably sort of say like rumored slash is the next thing, end of
Yeah.
edition, next part in that series.
Yeah, I think this is like a good way of doing it, right? Where it, like, if you bring the story forward a bit at the end of edition, then you can like release a brand new rule book where you kind of have a summary of all the campaign books in the like fluff section, rather than just being like, oh, this is like the same fluff as we've published for like 30 years, but in a new
Yeah.
cover.
I kind of felt like that with the army book, to be honest. Not that I knew not that I knew the fluff. So for me, it was fine, but it felt a bit generic
Yeah,
in the codex.
definitely. But I've since I've like bought almost all the Chaos Space Marines army books over the years, just like since I started, because
Yeah,
I've just been like, was one of the ways I engaged with the hobby when I wasn't actually building or painting anything. Uh, and it's like it is a bit like that, but they also like put way more focus on like the new stuff. So like the characters that weren't in the old books, for me, were like taking way more space in the new codex and so on. And I would imagine would be a bit like this in the new, like, a rule book or so on.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, we'll see how the 11th edition transpires. But I think there's going to be another say like campaign book coming before the edition expires. So the next one is the Tau characters have been released. And I don't know
Yeah,
if maybe these guys are also going to be a part of one of these books too.
yeah, exactly. And like they even released the rules, or maybe they actually previewed these previously, or perhaps at some events or
Yeah, I
something. But
think
because now they
maybe
have like the actual scrolls.
these was shown off during the World Championship preview, it
Mm,
says, and I think maybe these guys are also coming out in the Maelstrom book, but I'm not sure. It's coming out in one of the books for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, they previewed the rules. So should we quickly go through the rules?
Yeah, I think maybe they have like a million weapons, so maybe we don't need to go through the weapons. But I mean, there's some like interesting, interesting special rules at least.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I mean, they scout, which is and deep strike, which is nice. And let's see. So they also get to choose like sustained hit one or cover or ignore cover when they shoot, which seems pretty useful when all you do is
Seems
shooting, I guess.
really good. Yeah.
And then there's like two special rules I think that are important. So you can force one unit in the opponent's charge phase to get battle shock test, and if they if they fail, they can't score, which is really important. But also, if they reduce their charge rolls by 1, so great for gunline, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's not as good as you think. 'Cause you've got to be within 12. So if you're within 12, it's in the charge phase. Okay, then
Yeah, so it's
that's
like
really good.
they have to be able to charge you anyway, right?
Yeah,
So maybe it's like it seems to be maybe good if you're kind of banking on your opponent not, or your opponent rather really needs to get some certain objective, and then you have these guys plonked somewhere close by. You can kind of make that much more difficult to do.
yeah. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that's quite
and
good. I
then
thought it was at the start of the movement phase, but yeah, it's charge phase makes it really strong.
yeah. And then I guess the most important part is that they can, at the end of the fight phase, disengage by making a normal move 6 inches, or well, fall back move also.
Yeah, which is really good because yeah, unless you have some sort of follow up move, then it means that if you charge these guys and don't kill them, then they're going to be able to fall back after combat and then fight normally in their turn
Yeah, exactly. And like,
and
because
shoot you
normally when you
again.
fall back, you can't shoot. So
Yeah,
you could just fall back on your opponent's turn and then still shoot, which seems pretty cool. Or I
seems
mean,
really
also
strong.
shoot and then charge and fight first, right? So really nice.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, the thing that stood out the most on this is like how good the guns are. I know we said we weren't going to talk about the guns that much, but it's like, okay, you have a fusion eliminator, a pulse pistol, a shard storm burst system, and a gun drone. So you've got the fusion eliminator, which has got 2 shots. It's strength 10, AP4, damage D6, 18-inch range, and hits on a 2+. You've got
Yeah, of
this
course.
what's it called? Pulse pistol, which has 2 shots, strength 6, AP1, damage 2. Not amazing. Then the Shard Storm burst system, D6 shots, 2+, strength 5, AP0, damage 1. So it's like there's it's just got all of these guns and it's got a gun drone, and then
Yeah.
in combat is also quite good.
Yeah, so my understanding is that there's two of them, right? And they're like twins, whatever. And
Yeah.
then there's one. So one has the fusion eliminator, which is like a big strength 10 gun, and the other one has an ion scatter cannon, which is like a strength 7 or 8, but with more shots.
Yeah, the other one
And
has the other one. I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
but
rapid
then you
fire
have to
too as well.
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good, right? But then the thing you have to consider is that they both have the Shard Storm burst system and all the other. I
Yeah,
think they both have the burst system and the pistol. So like
correct.
you'll double all that as well. Like it's not
Yeah, so
just like, oh, you have 2 shots strength
that's
6. It's more like 4,
exactly
right?
what I was going to say is all of that times by 2.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
seems like a Tau thing, right? You
yeah,
know?
and they can also use the guns in combat, which is
Yeah.
pretty good. So you can charge a tank and just shoot your fusion eliminator into combat at strength 10 AP4 with damage D6 plus
Yeah.
2. No stress.
Yeah, I mean they're a bit worse in combat though. Like it has 2 attacks on shooting, hitting on 2
It
plus,
hits
but in
you on
combat
4s
it's
in
one
combat.
on a 4. So
Yeah, fair enough.
it's like it's not as good, but like that if you roll that 4 plus, it's still strength 10 damage D6 plus 2. Like that's
Yeah,
pretty tasty.
yeah. And
Maybe
something that
there's also some way to like get better to hit rolls or whatever.
yeah, maybe in detachments or something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
so some pretty tasty rules, let's say, for these guys. I think obviously the power level will depend on the points, but it seems good.
Yeah, definitely. And then should we move to the last new release thingy?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, that's the 4 new combo patrols. So there's Crute, Corsairs, and 2 Chaos ones. So maybe let's start with the Corsairs, since this might be
Yeah.
something you're getting.
So actually no, because I actually bought the Corsair Army box on pre-order,
Yeah,
and had I not bought it, I probably would have bought this instead because probably a bit cheaper because it doesn't
Yeah.
have as much in it, but it still has all the sort of the stuff that I want apart from the character. So I don't
Yeah, and also it
know.
doesn't have the new vehicle, right? Like that isn't this vehicle that's like an old that's
Yeah,
like
it
a
has
wave
the
serpent slash
wave serpent,
falcon.
but I need another wave serpent anyway, so it would have been actually
Oh,
quite
okay.
useful. I
Sure.
don't know. Maybe I'm probably gonna just buy. I mean, I'm just gonna buy them all. You know how it is. Um, but yeah, I think it's actually really cool as a combat patrol. I don't know how good the things are, but it's got all the stuff kind of you need for if you want to have a little Corsair detachment, and the
Yeah.
10 Corsairs can be one unit or they can be 2 units, so you actually kind of get like 2 units of 5 or 1 unit of 10, which gives you a few options. The Wave Serpent can be built as a Falcon or a Wave Serpent, so that's also gives you a few more
Yeah.
options. And you could use the special like Corsair Seer character as just like a regular Farseer if you wanted to as well. So
Yeah. I
there's a
mean,
few.
realistically, all you need is to cut off the head and put on a different head, and bam, you can have Farseer, right?
And to be honest, I don't really like the Bughead one, the Bughead
No.
helmet anyway. So we'll be changing mine to a regular helmet as soon as
Yeah,
that
exactly.
model comes out off the sprue. So yeah, but yeah, I think this one's pretty cool. I don't know what the price will be, but I think it's a nice little combat patrol.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like from the price of other combo trolls, probably it's like essentially like getting the character for free or something like that, right? Like usually that's the
Yeah,
kind of discount. Like one thing in the box is technically well, it's like free when you're buying them together.
yeah, yeah. So the
So
next one is the Red Corsair one. So this one's quite
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, for sure. So it has the new unit of Corsairs, which is that like elite Chaos Space Marine unit, and then it has the what are they called actually? Like Felgor Reavers or something? Yeah, Felgor Ravagers, which is the kind of Beastman kill team, I believe, and it also has Rhino. And I think the sweet thing here is that if you play any level of like mechanized in with a Space Marine faction, at least back in the day, because I mean now the normal Space Marines have all those levitating tanks. You like need a lot of rhinos, but rhinos are not per se cheap. Especially considering it's the same kit as when I was 10 years old or something. Which is not to say that it's a bad kit, but it's still like it's pretty annoying to pay. I don't know what it costs now, 50 euros or something for a kit that's like
Yeah, it's
as
it's the
old as
same
I
with
am almost.
the Wave Serpent as well. To be honest.
Yeah, so I think it's really nice to have a combo patrol where you get a rhino in there because like you always need them. It's way better than getting some other like unique vehicle that you might already have. But rhino is like just a really good thing to get.
Yeah, I think something I'll just say on the Rhino, like as not being someone who's quite new to 40k, I've never really been following it too much. I noticed this on the Night Lords one, which we'll talk about in a minute. Like it's very sort of bland. It's
Yeah.
the kit itself. Obviously, there's probably a bit of chaos decorations that have been added, like the spikes and stuff, but it's very bland compared to say like the new Red Corsair models. It doesn't really live up to them as well.
No, that's true. I think back then they had like as an idea that they would like make because it was more expensive to make plastic kits then, is you would have like a base vehicle that then they were like, oh, now we could just like make little upgrade versions of this. Like for example, there's a sproof to put spikes or whatever,
Yeah,
and so on and right. And then there was also like a way to I think it was like a Space Marine upgrade where it got like a different type of turret, a Razorback it was called, I believe, and things like that, right? Whereas now
yeah,
they probably make more like unique sculpts instead.
yeah, exactly. So what about these beastmen then? Can you have beastmen in a normal warriors army or
Yeah, so they're just like
warriors
a
chaos space marines?
yeah. I just got a drink for that one, maybe.
I will. I'll have my last bit of beer.
So yeah, they're like I believe that they're like an infiltrating unit or they have some kind of reserve rule, I think, that they can like come on the table and do something essentially. So kind of like a harassing unit.
Okay.
And I think they're just I really like the sculpts. They're all like
They're
very
really cool
dynamic.
models. They're quite new
Yeah.
by the looks of things. They're not like sort of old school Beastmen. It looks like a
No, for
new
sure.
kit.
Yeah, I think they're maybe like just a couple of years old or something like
Hmm.
that. And when we were starting with with Kill Team originally, I was looking at these because they are really cool. But then eventually I decided not to do them because they're pure close combat, and I thought maybe that's not going to be so fun when you play Kill Team,
Hmm.
But for playing 40k, I feel like then it's
Yeah,
perfect,
40k is like combat, like rubbing my hands together.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think they're great. Like this box is because I mean I was like considering if I was gonna get any Red Corsair stuff, mostly because I can't take them in my like in the demon detachment. But like
Yeah,
this combination is really tempting because it's nice when the box is like all things you actually want rather than
yeah,
just
and you also
like
get some of
three
the new
things you
stuff
want.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just like old kits, let's say.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's also a really nice one. The next one is a Kroot one, and I mean this is some really cool models. Again, like I'm not super familiar with the range. I just remember like the old Kroot, like say Warriors box, where there's just like all the
Yeah,
kind of regular Kroot guys. But all of these look like super individual models. Let me just read out quickly what you get. So you get a Farstalker Kinband of 10 Kroot, and they seem to be like the infantry guys, like scouts of some sort, but they're all really individual, which is nice. Two Kroot Hounds, a lone spear. I guess that's the character.
yeah, I
Maybe
think
that's
so. I
the
think
guy
it's
on the
a
salamander thing.
exactly. I think it's a character riding a beast.
Yeah. And then a mature Krutox rider, which
I think
is
that's
like
the
the
one with the
gun.
special gun. Yeah,
Yeah. And then three Krutox rampages, which I've actually never seen before. Um, they look like pretty cool models. They're like kind of Kroots riding these big Krutox guys. Um, yeah, pretty cool. I think you get a little bit of everything in here, and I think this would add really nicely to a Tau army because you've probably got a couple of boxes of the regular Kroot guys. So if you wanted to add like all the special stuff, basically you just have to buy
yeah,
this, and then you've got everything.
yeah. Exactly. And I think this again is like the Kroot kill team. And that's why they're so individual and
Ah,
cool. All
okay,
the
yeah,
models. And I believe the only thing that's really old here is the Kroot with like a gun in the back. I think that one is way older than the beasts in the front. But I've all the other like the beasts are also quite new. Like it's just like a year or two old or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. I really like the guy riding the salamander.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Like
posed very
it
well.
would,
He has little
I
bino
would
like
consider doing an Exilite conversion for this guy.
yeah, sure,
Like take him off and put like an elf guy on it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's really nice.
yeah, for sure. I also my favorite is the Kroot in the back that's holding up the Tau gun because I one of the fluff things about the Tau is that they're at least when they were released way back in the day, the fluff of the Tau was just essentially they're like the ultimate good guys, and basically instead of like destroying everything they come into contact with, they go like, "Oh, we have this great society. Do you want to be part of it?" And if people say yes, they're like, "Oh, great! Like here's your local council and your like your sick leave or whatever the
Here's a
fuck, right?"
railgun.
Yeah. And here's your railgun. So like you can have this like units of dudes which were like just humans or whatever aliens you wanted, and they just had like Tau gear, like little railguns and stuff. And obviously to make you like convert,
Yeah,
some guys. So I always like the idea of having like random auxiliaries just running around and like some with Tau
Tau
gear.
guns.
Yeah.
That could be quite a fun little conversion project. Give me ideas, Casimir. Stop it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but this one's really nice. Moving on to the next one is the Night Lords one.
Yeah. So
So
a bit more generic. It's another rhino. I think that so.
yeah,
I think if I it's a bit hard to identify what's in this kit because they all look kind of the same. But I think it's like a box of normal Space Marines, and then there's a box of the Night Lord's kill team. I think, and then like a Raptor Lord and a Rhino.
it says that it's has the combat the the Night Lords themed um upgrade sprue.
Oh,
from the
maybe there's a new.
Nemesis Claw kill team.
Yeah, exactly.
But otherwise, it's 10 Legion, 5 Chosen, 10 Legionaries,
Oh,
a
oh yeah.
Rhino, and a Chaos Lord.
Yeah, I think it's just that they've got kit bashed them a little bit, where some of the chosen things have like the parts from the Night Lord's upgrade
Yeah,
screw. So okay,
yeah,
so you get 5
exactly.
chosen, 10 Chaos Space Marines, and a Rhino and a Raptor Lord.
Yeah.
And this one is
So,
also, yeah, it's probably good. I think I know that the Nemesis Claw has been like essentially sold out everywhere for like a long time, so probably people really like it.
yeah, I mean, if you play Night Lords, you have sort of no choice, really.
Yeah,
um, but
for
I
sure.
like this the most because it sort of shows you what you can do, and you know me, I like a conversion project.
Yeah,
So it's quite cool that they've sort of actually done it themselves and sort of shown you the way in some respect. Like, okay, this is how you actually build a Night Lord's army, and here's all the parts to do it in one box. And
yeah, exactly.
I really like that, and it sort of
Yeah.
pushes you to be a bit creative.
Yeah, and I also I've always liked these, especially when it comes from the source, when it's not like a crazy resculpt or something. It's just like, okay, you just take this head from this box and put it on this guy in the other box or whatever.
Yeah,
And nowadays we're a bit like older and more experienced, so that's not like a crazy thing. But when you're a kid, you're like, whoa, I can do this,
yeah.
amazing.
And I assume that these are probably old enough as well that they sort of like not monopose models anymore. And so the head swap is probably going to be a bit easier because at least in
Yeah,
the newer models they kind of monopose. You can only build them in
yeah.
one way.
So when I've been building my Chaos Space Marines and my Chosen, I've been kind of mixing the different Chaos Space Marine kits together, and in
Yeah,
general, it all kind of switches relatively well. There's sometimes like a little bit with like the arms, you could tell that they're supposed to go on a certain torso, but you just take your scalpel out and carve a bit, and then you're fine.
yeah. And I know we sort of went into detail quite a bit on the Night Lords in the last cast or the last previous
Hmm.
cast, and I think these look really nice actually. As now you see it as sort of a group. I
Yeah,
think when you look at them individually, like especially with the kill team, you were like, okay, wow, there's like loads of detail on these. But now they're
yeah,
all now I'm looking at say like 16 models in one blob. They actually look like really kind of chaosy, and and the aesthetic is quite actually pretty good. It looks really cool.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely like cohesive.
Yeah, nice. So that's pretty much all of the new stuff. I think the only other thing that we should say is that we have Adepticon coming up at the end of March, and the rumours are that there is going to be a announcement for 11th edition.
Oh, okay, nice.
So yeah, I'm say like quite excited for a new edition, but I'm also like not excited because I've just learnt the rules for this edition and I'm quite enjoying the game. So it's going to
Yeah,
be interesting to see what happens. But I mean,
yeah.
new stuff is always exciting.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe more excited just because like I haven't gotten as far in the journey as you, so that but then you know how it is when you're like like you're a little bit unsure, like what do I actually want to do, which models do I want to build, what do I want to focus on now when I know the game is going to change probably before I have the chance to really finish everything that I'm kind of working on, so to say. So in that sense, it's like also exciting to see kind of especially when you got to read all the spoilers and then go like, shoot, it's going to change like this, and then you're like, oh, maybe I want to go buy this thing instead, or build this thing out of my box of shame.
Well, you know that's the exactly what they want, right? They want you
Yeah,
to
for
just
sure.
think, oh, we need to go and buy this, and we need to go and buy this, need to go and buy this.
Yeah, like jokes on them though, because I already own most of it. I just have to actually build it.
So then the joke's on you because you have to actually do all the hard work.
Yeah, fuck.
Okay, so let's get into the next section. What have you been doing in the hobby?
Oh man, yeah. Like last time, I had loads of stuff I was doing, and now I'm just looking over at my hobby desk here, and I think my sculpting on my Greater Demons is exactly where I left it off at the when we last spoke.
So
So
little
I've
progress. I mean, you're also doing
yeah,
house hunting and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah, exactly. I've just been a bit busy, but I've been kind of painting over like old models, but unfortunately not for 40K. I've been painting like some more time characters and so on. That's kind of been all I've been doing.
I mean, yeah. But what's your next thing that you're going to be doing for 40K? Maybe you should say that.
Yeah, so I mean, I still wanna finish up the sculpting that I have on the Greater Demons. I mean, to be fair, the Keeper of Secret is basically there. He just like he has just like a few gap filling things I need to do. Like he has a line underneath his jaw, which needs to be filled in and so on. But he's almost ready to be sprayed. I was also
Uh
considering if I was gonna put another Eldar on his base because it's like, oh, it's Slaanesh or whatever, and I'm like, oh,
huh.
I need to keep the theme going, you know.
That would be cool. If you want, I have. There was like a special model out
Hmm.
not too long ago, which was like an Eldar seer, like over a Wraith Lord that had been like
Oh
broken.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can give you the Wraith Lord that's been broken if you want, because
Oh,
I was planning
you
on.
don't.
Well, I mean, it's like a diorama, right? So it's not like
Yeah,
you can use it as a model. So I was probably just going to use the seer model for something, probably like a conversion. So probably not going
yeah,
to
sure.
use like the broken Wraith Lord head.
I mean, that would
That's
be
kind of fun.
awesome, especially like I could imagine putting like a Slaanesh demon or something on top of it or something. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, you could also have him like this. I don't know whatever his weapon is, like into the hole, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. No, that sounds pretty cool. But I mean, this is still what's on the agenda for me. I would say I've also been considering because like I'll get into that in the other hobby section, but it's really nice to to just to paint over half finished paint jobs I found. So maybe I'm just gonna pause my Greater Demons for a bit and just go back to painting some or finish painting some more stuff, just because it's like really nice and relaxing, you know.
For the record, my head is in my hands right now. Cool. Well, for me, I've not been as productive as I have been recently, but it's only been a few weeks. So, as buying counts as hobby, I bought like the new Corsair Battle Box, whatever it's called, like the big one that just came out with the Maelstrom book. So I got the book and I bought the box. I think it comes with 10 Corsairs, 10 flying guys, the new Viper thing, and two characters. So that's quite cool.
Mhm.
I finished sculpting my Avatar of Cain. That's probably the biggest thing that I've done recently. It's ready for spraying now. Um, I've been kind of like looking at it for the last couple of days. Like, do I need to do any other things? Do I need to do any more neatening up? But I can't really be bothered. I think I'm just going to
Yeah,
spray it and see what it looks like when it's been sprayed, and then if there's anything that I need to add or change, like when I start painting it, I'm just going to do it then because it's such like an extensive conversion. There's innumerable things I could just like. Okay, I make this a bit more
yeah,
smooth. I could just trim this slightly, but at some point I just got to paint it and see
yeah.
what it looks like.
I think, as yeah, I said, you just have to call it done also at some point, because especially when you're like sculpting, I feel like you can always just add things and
Yeah,
you know, but at some point you're also kind of, or I find that that I burn out. You know, I'm not so enthusiastic about it anymore when I like agonize too much.
yeah, exactly. And I think what we talked a little bit about last time was when you're sculpting things or doing conversions, like it's mostly you that sees all the small errors anyway.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And also, but it's also funny because it's the same with all the little details. Because when you're sculpting, you're like, "Ooh, it'd be really cool if it was like this," and then you spend lots of time, and then I realized I'm like, well, when I look at other people's models, I don't even like realize if there's like gaps and all these kind of like other things that I like spend all this time fixing.
Yeah, like I sculpted two hands basically, and the hands
Yeah,
they weren't that challenging, but they were somewhat challenging. And like I finished it, and I was like, when I look at it now, like it doesn't really look like a hand. When I It looks like a hand, but if I'm being really detail oriented, it doesn't look like a hand. But if you just look at it at the table, it's just going to look like a hand. if that makes sense. Like when I
Yeah,
looked at it,
sure.
like the thumb really wouldn't really look like this if it was gripping a spear shaft, but for all intents and purposes, it's probably fine. No one's going to notice. So there's like things like this where if you really look at maybe you will notice that it's not super good, but from across the table, it's going to be fine. So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think I'm calling it done with that now. I just need to spray it when the weather gets a bit better. But in the meantime, while I've been waiting for the weather, I painted another of my shroud runners. That one I finished yesterday, I think, and I started the last one this morning. So that unit's almost done. It's like the Ranger jet bikes for my Eldar guys. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. You showed some pictures with the camo and stuff. Looks good.
that's basically it. They're kind of the task to paint, to be honest, because they like the camo on the bikes and the cloaks is just fucking tedious, frankly.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I've
when you did
started
it the
now.
first time, I was like, "This is amazing," but I was also thinking, like, "Man, this oof, looks looks like a lot of effort."
I'm glad that they're not that good because I don't want to have to paint anymore. So
Yeah, next edition comes out. They're like, the best thing
yeah,
to do is to have 30 Rangers, bro.
yeah, fuck off. When I played this tournament a few weeks ago, right, and there was like one other Eldar player, and he was a pretty good player. Like I think he won 2 games, but then he dropped out, so basically won both of his games. So he's probably pretty good. And I looked at his list, and he's got 2 units of Shroud Runners and 2 units of Rangers, and I was like, "Fuck's sake! I've only got one of each in my army." Does that mean I have to probably have to paint another one of each at some point? But no, I'm
Man,
definitely not. If I
no.
do, I'm going to maybe paint them differently.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, and this is also something that the more I'm in the hobby, the more I realize that it doesn't all have to look exactly the same. Like, it's okay if there's variation. There's still, like, once the bases tie it together, you have like some common colors or whatever, and it still looks cohesive.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that one was done. So that was my hobby in the last 2 3 weeks. So on the subject of hobby, have you any hobby tips for this month?
Yeah, so I mean, in the theme of the only hobby that I've been doing, I've wanted to just talk about this, like when you go back to your old paint jobs, because
Never have I ever gone back
yeah,
to a paint job. Actually, one time I did when I wanted to do a banner, and I had like a shitty freehand banner that I'd done, and I wanted to make it better. But that was the only time, and I was also very drunk when I painted that. This was the night
the
before a
new one or
tournament.
the old one?
The new one. I
Okay.
got back from a night out and I had a tournament the next day and I was like, oh fuck, I forgot to do that. I was planning on doing that banner, like remaking it, like so it looked nice because I wanted to compete for best painted, and I was
Yeah.
shit painting this banner freehand at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, the glory days.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The glory days.
uh,
So yeah, sorry
no,
I
well,
interrupted you.
no worries. No, but so because I've done, like, because this is actually something that I've done quite a bit. I also never used to do it, but then I don't really know what changed exactly. Maybe it was that I like came back to armies that I had painted a long time ago, and I felt like you add some new things and you put them next to your old things. You're just like, man, this is, they don't even look like the same army anymore because it's so much better. So then I just tried to improve the things. And I think one thing I've been, like, I was guilty of in the beginning was that I was too conservative with how I added on to the paint jobs. Like, maybe when I was younger, sorry, and I just started out, I was, like, maybe I just painted stuff with like base coat wash done, or like perhaps one highlight, right? And the moles end up pretty dark when you do that. And then if you
Yeah,
come back and you just go like, oh, I'm gonna like add on another like layer of that like mid tone and a little bit extra and build up, and you add a lot of time but not a lot of impact.
yeah,
But what I've been doing recently is that I've just been just like pushing the amount of highlights just like way higher, and I've realized that it like you when you add onto a page job like that, it's better to just like don't care about like how smooth it is or whatever, but just like add the highlights to a very intense degree because it looks really striking afterwards because you have like all the underpainting done already. You don't need to like waste any time. You could just like in my case add ice yellow, which I use as my like mixing in color to like make things lighter, right? And
Yeah.
just add a bunch of it into almost every color, and then you just go around and do that for all the areas, and it's pretty quick because highlighting doesn't need to you don't need to paint a lot of area, right?
Yeah.
And it makes the ball just pop so much.
This is quite good advice, actually. I think, especially if you're someone listening who has an army from they've painted as a kid and it's like painted, but it's not nice. It doesn't take much time just to go over, and as
Yeah.
Casimir says, just pick up all the edge highlights or just do a little bit here and there, like with a really sharp highlight to make it pop, and your
Yeah.
army will look really, really good, really, really quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Because to be honest, what takes the most time with painting is like the base. Like if you're doing it the classic Games Workshop style, like it's like the base coating, the washing, and the like layering up again. Or nowadays maybe you're doing like a
Contrast
contrast
paint.
and then like a layer and a layer or something.
Yeah,
And it's just that it takes so much time just to because you have to be so careful when you block in all the colors that they're if you have a space marine, right, like you don't want his like contrast for the armor to get like on his weapon or his face or whatever, so you're being
have to be
really neat around
careful.
the
Yeah,
corners. But then once that's all done, it's like since if you're highlighting his face, you're nowhere close to his armor anyway because you're like putting you're making his bald spot all shiny, right? So so it's like it's just way faster and yeah, just more fun. And I think if you just add that impact, you kind of you up your paint job from being like mediocre or bad to being like striking with just a few minutes.
yeah. And I don't know how we've done this, but this actually like perfectly segues into my hobby tip of
Oh,
of the month. And for the record, we don't discuss this in advance. We just like kind of we have a spreadsheet that we put some notes in, and Casimir's put this one and I've put this one. And when we come together to do the recording, we just kind of go through it. And
yeah.
it's actually turned out that this is like the perfect tip based on what Casimir was saying. Because I just wanted to actually talk about like how I've been doing my highlights because I think
Oh.
it works quite well. So what I do with my Eldar, I basically do like I do a base color, a wash, two layers on top,
Hmm.
and then I do two highlights. So I do like quite an extreme
Yeah,
highlight.
that's quite a lot of layer, like a total number of layers in the end, I would say.
Yeah, so it's you would say one, two, six. It's six layers, six steps, but you can
Yeah.
reduce it for sure if you wanted to do like a base and then the two highlights, or a
Yeah.
contrast and two highlights, for example. But what I do is I do like quite extreme color highlights. So, for example, on my orange, I do a yellow highlight on the orange, and then I do like a bone highlight as like the top highlight. So it's quite from like orange to say like bone color. There's quite a lot of steps. So and that makes it pop a lot more. So my hobby tip is how to highlight or how to highlight in my style is I do every like an edge highlight with say like one big leap away from the layer below, and then
Hmm.
I do like a spot highlight on all the little points that I want to pick out with like another big step
Like the
from,
corners, kind of, or
yeah, the corners or where I feel like the light is coming from. So it's kind of like a mixture of the two. I'm not like doing like object source lighting or anything like that, but
no,
I
no.
tend to put the highlights, say like if there's a circle, I will put like I'll do the edge highlight all the way around the circle, and then I'll do the top like say like the highest highlight like just on the top corner of the circle, like vertically on the top,
Yeah,
if
sure.
that makes sense. So, and that's kind of my philosophy when I go over the model, and to me, this is like the fastest way of making it pop is by firstly doing two layers, secondly
Mm.
going like a big leap from the layer. So instead of doing like from orange, doing like a lighter orange or
Yeah.
orange mixed with a bit of yellow or a bit of white, I went from orange to yellow, and then from the then the last tip is like the top highlight being like like the another step higher. So a
Yeah,
completely
it's like a
different color, but like
super light yellow or bone or whatever, right?
well, I wouldn't even say like I wouldn't even gone like a light yellow. You could have even gone like a white if you
Yeah.
wanted to be like really really high.
Yeah, so
I'm not accurate enough, and I don't have the skill to do like a such a thin. Like that's kind of like how Games Workshop do it, right? They do like a really
yeah,
like a white highlight almost for the last step.
yeah, exactly. But this is where something like ice yellow is such a good color for this kind of stuff because it's off white. So I mean, it's kind of yellow, but I mean, it's more like an off white, I would say. But it
Yeah,
has like a
exactly.
little bit of fluorescent pigment in it, which makes it really pop like hard, even though it's not like a pure white. It looks very bright on the malls, you know.
Cool. Is this from a specific manufacturer?
Yes, I believe I'm walking over to my desk here to have a look at which one. I think it is Vallejo. Yeah, it's Vallejo, and I think they have it in both their ranges.
And it's called
Mine,
Ice Yellow.
Ice Yellow, yeah. I also know there's nowadays like you can get colors called Ice Yellow from other manufacturers as well, and I think they're pretty similar. But the original one, I believe, is from Vallejo.
Cool. Yep. And so just to bring both Casimir and my tips together, if you have an army that's sat in the box somewhere that looks a bit, say, dark, or
Yeah,
you've just done the base coats like some years ago, pick up the paintbrush and just do a couple of edge highlights, but just do a couple of steps more like lighter color than you would expect.
yeah,
For example, let's say you're doing blue, then go straight to like sky blue, and then do like a really like off-white blue for the
for sure.
spot highlight, and you'll see that your models will pop with a very
Yeah.
little amount of effort.
Yeah, and it's especially right. The one thing I've been struggling with, I'm probably still struggling with to some extent, is that you're under the painting light and it looks crazy the steps you're taking, right? But then once you put it in like normal lighting, you realize oh those steps are actually not that insane.
Yeah,
Especially if you're painting like an army, right? It's not gonna, the idea is not that you're gonna look at it in a microscope. The idea is like this cohesive feeling on the table.
yeah, exactly. So moving on to the last section of our intro,
Hmm.
the theory hammer section. So, Casimir, do you have a combo of the month?
No, unfortunately, I do not.
Haven't been playing any
Yeah.
games, clearly.
Yeah, exactly. I literally haven't been playing any games.
Okay, so I will have to take the burden on this month. So
Yeah.
my new combo that I have used once with little effect, but in theory, because it's a theory hammer, it's really good. So in my newest toy that I've been playing with is Lycus in the Elder, and Lycus has a special rule which gives anything that you hit, I think, with her shooting attack, um, all critical hits against that unit. Um, I guess if you say split your fire, you can choose whichever one
Mhm.
unit you want. So all subsequent attacks against that unit score critical hits on a 5+.
Okay, that sounds pretty good.
That sounds pretty good. So you can combo this with things like Dire Avengers, which have sustained hits 1 at short range. Obviously, you have to get within short range. You can
Mhm.
combo this with things like I think the Avatar of Kane's shooting weapon has sustained hits, which is quite crazy. Fuegan's beam attack has, I think, sustained hits 3.
Oh,
So,
Jesus,
so
that's
if
really good.
you
Yeah.
let's say you just ping a couple of shots at a tank or something, and say, oh yeah, all the critical hits against that one, and then you get the Fuegan's beam attack. I mean, maybe it's not a tank, whatever it is that it's good against.
Yeah.
Um, but if you can then initiate the rerolls or something like that, like it can get quite crazy. But
Yeah.
the combo that I
Maybe you
wanted
you
to
do the thing then when you re-roll the dice that also hit but weren't criticals, just to spice it
yeah,
up.
exactly. And if you're playing aspect host, you can get reroll ones to hit on all your units. But the combo that I wanted to highlight was what I'm using, which is in Warhost. And there's a stratagem that gives you sustained hits 1 if you're shooting at something within short range. So, or within 12 inches, I think it is the rule. So you can basically shoot Lycus into something, get critical hits 5 plus, and then use your blitzing firepower stratagem, and then whatever you're shooting at, you probably use like Guardians because they've got like 20 shots, plus the
Yeah,
Bright Lance, plus the Farseer, at least in my list. Then you can get critical hits and a 5 plus,
that
which
sounds
can be
pretty
quite
good.
nice.
Do you have any devastating wounds?
Not really.
Because like that, I would because that also is a critical ability, right? And that can be
It's
really powerful.
critical hits, I think, not wounds, but
Oh, okay.
don't know. But you can also do it, for example, with lethal hits, which is quite good. So like if you have a big unit of jet bikes, they have lethal hits,
Yeah,
and they also reroll to hit at short range or reroll to hit against the closest enemy. So that also can be quite good. But
yeah.
they're
Especially if you're fighting something big that you're not wounding on better than, I don't know, 5s or something,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean that's quite a niche unit. I'm tend to be using units of 3s. But what's good against this is good with this rather is that it's all units shooting at the same target. So if you
Yeah.
let's say you have 2 units of jet bikes which are lethal hits and rerolls, then you can just run up both units of jet bikes to attack the one target. You're going to get uh, 9 shots from each unit, so 18 shots in total. Uh, Lethal hitting on a 5 plus, so 6 go through straight away, and then you
Yeah.
can reroll everything. That's so that's you have another 12. So then you have another 3 go through,
Yeah.
4 go through, so 10 lethal hits, and
Those
another
are
4
damage
hits.
too as well, right?
They're also damage 2 and AP1. So
Yeah.
you can also do a similar thing that I talked about last time with the War Walker. Put the War Walker in there as well, then you get an extra AP. So
Yeah.
Lycus plus Blitzing Firepower is my combo of the month, but it also works well with things like Wind Riders.
Yeah, that sounds pretty horrible. I'm thinking about if you do that to like one of the big demon malls, right? Where you don't like the AP doesn't really matter, so it doesn't matter that it's low AP because you're anyway just doing invul saves, but then it's
Yeah,
all damage 2 and auto wounds, so it doesn't matter that you're like toughness 14 or something.
yeah, exactly. So there's some quite nice stuff there. So Lycus is my new toy, and I have a game actually with Patrick tomorrow, so we'll see how that
Okay.
goes.
Cool.
Cool. So that's it for the intro section. I think we will take a quick break here, and then we will come back and we will talk about the Tyranids.
And we're back.
Welcome back to the show. I've got like a burp in the chamber which needs to come out because I just like chugged a bit of beer, but I don't know when it's going to come out. So
Just in the middle of sentence.
yeah, it's going to come at some point. Okay, so this section is going to be like sort of the traditional. What does Henry know about this faction? Which is going to be what does Henry know about the Tyranids? But
Yeah.
it's also going to be my main theories about what the Tyranids are and where do they come from.
Okay. So
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
There we go. It's
So
like
like a
I just
conspiracy
needed
as
like my
well.
daughter, like burping my daughter, like come on, come on. Just needed someone just to give me a little pat on the back.
Yeah, exactly. I just realized like what I will do actually. I have fucking 3 editions of rule books, fucking main rule books here that I'm gonna bring out and see what we have also on the Tyranids while we talk.
Okay, brilliant. So, firstly, what are the Tyranids? So, the Tyranids, from my understanding, are these. I don't want to say bugs because that's kind of like the derogatory term that they get labeled with, sort of colloquially in 40k. They're not really
Sure.
necessarily bugs, but they're say like a species of alien. We'll say Xenos just to have the correct terminology.
Oh yes,
Um,
copyright.
yeah, the species of Xenos that come from outside the galaxy, and they're sort of like some sort of highly evolved biological entity.
Yeah.
And what characterizes the Tyranids is that they have what's called a hive mind that kind of controls them. And this is some sort of like centralized psychic network that, say, gives them orders and is some sort of sentience that's no one really knows how powerful it is. No one really knows where it comes from. No one really knows like to what extent it operates on like a galactic,
Yeah.
intergalactic level. But
I mean,
it's
you could tell that it's kind of like based on bees, right? Where it's like, oh, you have the queen, and she's somehow giving all the like information to like all the little worker bees that are coordinated and whatever.
yeah, but
But I guess it's like kind of through the warp rather than through whatever pheromones or something that
yeah,
bees
but
use in real life.
I think what maybe one of the things that we can talk about, or one of the questions that maybe that we have that's unknown is it the queen that's controlling it, or is it like a larger intergalactic entity, or is it like a warp entity, or is there something else? What I'm saying is, where does the consciousness preside? Is maybe more the question. Is it like a group
Yeah,
think, or
sure.
is it generally like, is it in the mind of the queen or the hive mother or whatever it's called, or is it actually something is controlling them from outside or externally? So that's a
Yeah.
a specific question that I think we're going to dig into a little bit in this sort of theory section. And um, another characteristic of the Tyranids is that they have the ability to evolve on like a very rapid scale. I guess probably because they sort of say regurgitate new Tyranids so often, at least like the base level
Yeah.
Tyranids.
My
Um,
understanding is also like that I mean, that the implication is that they've devoured like several galaxies in the past, and they've like involved this system of doing that in the most like efficient way, right? That part of that is that you just kind of like just while you gobble up everything, you kind of take whatever is useful from it to improve on yourself, so to say.
yeah, you basically learn as you go while you're consuming the different species and the same
Learn on
biomass.
the job.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I think biomass is like the key word here, like because what they
Yeah.
do is they consume the biomass of every planet. They strip it completely bare down to its like
Yeah.
bacteria basically, and consume everything and use this biomass to fuel their movements across the galaxies. As Casimir alluded to, maybe they've already consumed other galaxies. We don't know, but maybe.
Yeah.
Um, and this biomass is sort of used to fuel future evolutions of themselves. So as they're sort of consuming biomass, like whether that's a body of a space marine or the body of an orc, or whether it's a tree, or whether it's like uh,
I
some
do
poor
I
sheep
do
in the field.
I do like the idea that like the Tyranid like come to this farming planet and they just eat up some trees and then they just evolve this like semi-useless Tyranid who just like stands drinking water with his feet somewhere, you know?
Yeah, but I think I was recently reading. Actually, the reason that we're doing this one, maybe I can outline that, is that I read the novel called Valador, which is like a novel about Prince Uriel, which is the Eldar Corsair character that's just
Hmm.
come out. I bought this book some time ago, and with the new Corsair release, I thought it relevant that I should read it and just to see. And the thing that they're going against is the Tyranids.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe this is also a podcast topic for another episode. But one of the things that happens is that once the Tyranids sort of consume all like the living matter on the, or like say like the meat matter on the planet, they start consuming all the biological like plant life as well, and they have these kind of like bulldozer Tyranids that sort of basically like suck up all of the earth and the dirt and all the
Yeah.
and filter out all the microbes and things like that. So yeah, basically they engineer themselves to deal with the situation at hand, and this can be
Yeah.
particularly terrifying when it comes to say military engagements because the first Tyranids come down, they all get killed because they can't chew through the armor, and then the next wave of Tyranids come down, and they all have like gnashing teeth and big scythes that can penetrate the armor that
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have. So it can be quite terrifying. And it seems as though they sort of have unlimited resources in some respect. Like they just
Yeah.
keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. Whether that's because the successive waves of Tyranids coming from like the void outside the galaxy, or if they just keep producing like the, let's say, the brood mother or whatever they're called, just keeps like pooping out
Yeah.
more Tyranid eggs, then yeah, again, we're not sure, but they seem to have endless supplies of
Yeah.
their
I
own
mean, like
biomass.
the implication, right, is that in the fluff is that there's these are all like the vanguard of something bigger that's like heading for the galaxy, but not quite here yet. So it's like another one of the sword of Damocles hanging over the setting. That like
Yeah,
when the real Hive fleet arrives, then you're all fucked, you know.
yeah,
But
and this is also
yeah,
something that I want to discuss when I get into the theory section as well. And also we should note that they also like they're happy to consume themselves in some respect.
yeah, gotta have the fluff justification for the Civil War, of course.
Yeah, they're happy to consume themselves because otherwise, how like once the baby ones have consumed like the small things on the planet, then the big ones need to consume the baby ones to preserve the biomass and to kind of keep going down the food chain.
Yeah, I guess it's just recycling, right? That's the key
Yeah,
theme here.
exactly. They're like the greenest method of they're basically net zero, right? These
Yeah,
Tyranids.
yeah, literally.
Yeah. So I think we've kind of covered like roughly like what are they. I don't know enough about them to kind of talk about the different types of species that are in the game, but safe to say
No,
there's many types
yeah,
based on
I think
a quick skim through the Games Workshop website.
Yeah, I think one thing that's like I remember standing out when I was a kid is like at least the way that we talked about it like among my friends and so on is like you had back then there obviously wasn't as many types as there are now, but it's like specifically the warriors that were like the like medium sized guys that were not like the little guys but like somewhere in the middle. They were like, oh, this is like something that's evolved from like the gene seed of Space Marines, and that's why they're so tough because they've like been eating Space Marines, and they're like, whoa, this seems toughness 4, crazy.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was alluding to, I guess, because once the small ones start eating, say, Space Marines, they realize, oh, we need bigger ones to deal with these guys
Yeah,
because they're tough. So then the brood mother poops out warriors, and then the warriors come down and do a bit better, and maybe start eating more Space Marines, and then they get, okay, this is working. We're gonna poop out more and more and more warriors, and then
yeah, exactly.
that's what they use their biomass for. Okay, so I've kind of nailed this down to four different individual theories, but I think there's probably more. So what
Okay.
kind of what actually are the Tyranids and where do they come from? So you sort of alluded to that maybe they're from another galaxy, and this is
Hmm.
hinted to in the fluff as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know. So the first of my say theories, not my personal theories. These are I mean everyone has the same theories basically, but the first
except the fairies.
the first of the like maybe actually the last one is more my own theory, but the first of the accepted theories is that they're sort of the apex predators of say the universe.
Yeah,
Um, it the basic theory is that they've left their galaxy, traveled through the void to reach the Milky Way galaxy. However, we don't know if this is to either avoid cannibalism of their own species or to seek like a new prey. So it could be that they've completely consumed their own galaxy already,
yeah,
and now to avoid like consuming themselves, they've had to okay, we have to go scatter into the universe, into the void to find other biomass to actually consume. Um,
yeah. But this is like, so do they burn the biomass, or as you said before, do they just like conserve it? That's like kind of unclear to me. Is Is it like so they're actually not net zero? They're actually reducing the amount of biomass by just eating it all and somehow using it, or
Well, my theory is that they don't poop.
yeah, the old poop conservation.
Yeah.
Like,
So they don't poop. They don't poop. So this means that all the biomass stays like inside them, and they either
yeah.
get consumed by the bigger ones, or they die on the planet because they like explode because they've got so much poop inside them, and then they get
Yeah.
consumed by the bigger ones.
The explosions of poop get consumed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just about like, okay, let me just look at the moles. Can I identify something that looks like a rectum? You know, that's
And I
the
bet you can't. I bet you can't.
no, actually, because actually I was looking at like I think this is an old mole, but like the hive tyrant, and like where you would think that the butt would be, there's like it's more like a big tentacle tail or something. Like there's no cheeks, you know, like where are the cheeks?
Yeah, no butt cheeks. So
What
that's
the hell?
basically what happens is they don't poop, and if they actually survive long enough that all the food gets to the bottom, then they just explode. And then all that like matter just goes everywhere else, and then it gets consumed by the other ones.
Yeah, should they all have like a little tentacle tail? Fuck.
Yeah,
And it's so basically they're traveling between galaxies to not explode from poop. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So something else to mention about them is that they never really developed technology. They've always been like a biological, but they've only ever like evolved biologically through, excuse me, like natural selection,
Hmm.
just the survival of the fittest. And
Yeah.
so this is also like an interesting point. Like, are these guys the apex predators of their galaxy, or have they been chased away by another apex predator? Or, as you said at the start, Casimir, is this just like the first wave of many hive fleets attacking the Milky Way together?
Yeah.
Or like it's a bit open ended. We don't really know whether these are the apex of the predators, or if they're just fleeing other apex predators that have already destroyed everything in their galaxy and they're just trying to get away.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know at some point they were like kind of in the fluff. They were talking about the Necrons kind of, for example, being somehow opposite to the Tyranids because they're in like some kind of stasis and they're not have no like biomass at all because it's all just metal, you know, and there's no actual like living matter
Hmm.
kind of thing. But I feel like that's kind of less of like related to this now with how they decided to take the fluff at this point because it's quite clear that the Tyranids are like coming from somewhere else, you know, like they're not kind of they're not born in the galaxy, so to say.
Yeah,
But from what I understand, the Necrons and the Eldar, for example, are really like they're part of this galaxy, so to say.
correct. Yeah, I don't think there's anything like linking the Tyranids and the Necrons at all. I think
Mm,
it's they're completely polar opposites, as you say. And
yeah,
I think something else that we should mention is that there's multiple hive fleets, and they're also attacking the galaxy from different directions. So is this a sign that there are multiple hive minds? Like, are they each seeking dominance over the Milky Way? Until there's like one who is the single one that consumes the other ones, or is it a
yeah,
sign that they've already consumed different galaxies and now are coming towards the Milky Way from different directions at the same time, which is coordinated? Or yeah, like, there's lots of questions that you have, and obviously they actually
yeah,
fight each other. So are they say
yeah, which
are
seems
there
strange,
multiple
right?
hive minds controlling each fleet, or are they just actually consuming each other to conserve the biomass?
Yeah, well, yeah, it could be some kind of natural selection type of process, right? But it does seem
Yeah.
strange if it's all controlled by like one massively smart super thingy. Why would they fight then? Seems better to just like coordinate them to get the job done, so to say.
I mean, you could make up if it was one super big hive mind, you could make up reasons why it would. Okay, we're just trying to consolidate forces together, or like consolidate biomass together, so it's easier to control. Or maybe having like maybe having like two hive minds together is like disjointed in some way, so you want to merge the hive mind, and that's actually something that they talk about in the Valador novel is that they're trying to stop two, I think it's Kraken and Leviathan, the
Yeah.
two hive minds actually merging.
Huh. Okay, so I wonder, but how would they know that they could merge? Like,
Yeah,
has it happened
that
before?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Yeah.
And so my question is, are they consuming each other for dominance, for evolution, or for biomass? And this is like the first
Yeah.
main theory is that they're predators and they're coming from another galaxy to consume the biomass, but what's actually their motivation?
To me, like it feels like what makes most sense is that in the end, probably the way to make the most powerful Tyranid fleet or whatever is for all the biomass to be concentrated under one
Hive mind.
sentience or like one hive mind, right? So
Yeah.
maybe they all have like some level of individuality, but like it all works out in the end because whoever wins is going to be the most powerful because that like mass is not just wasted, so to say. Like if humans have conflict, right? Like the resources kind of lost, but
Yes.
but instead it's like, well, okay, one of the wins and that's all good, baby, because then we have like just an even bigger thing. So maybe this
But
like
that,
stopping them merging is actually stopping them fighting to just like eat each other to become an even bigger thing, right?
yeah, and I think that's kind of what they were alluding to in this novel as well. But then the other question is, are they fleeing some like a larger, like more better evolved hive mind from another galaxy, or are they have they already consumed everything in the last galaxy, or like what's this
Yeah.
say like apex predator theory, like we don't know, and we're probably not going to know. Um, at
No, for
least,
sure. I mean,
yeah,
and that's probably for the best, right? Like I think explaining everything is usually a bad habit of these kind of like fantasy and science fiction settings.
yes, and I think it's actually better not to know because that makes
Yeah,
them
for
more of an
sure.
interesting discussion and story, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could just be the galaxies are really fucking big. So maybe whatever different hive fleets just kind of drifted away in space because they ate everything in close by, and just gonna like, well, maybe there's stuff in this direction.
Yeah, exactly. It could be just drifting through the void, right, rather than sort of specifically aiming towards the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next theory is the harvester theory. So this is more of like a eco warrior, uh, like this is definitely the net zero theory, where the previous one was a little bit more invasive. So this theory revolves around the Tyranids were here before, and what they do is they every let's say there's like a grand cosmic cycle. Every grand cosmic cycle, they come back to the galaxy and they consume it. They strip it all of life. They plant little seeds and it grows again. And then
Yeah, sure.
in the next cycle, they come back and they eat everything again. And they get more and more powerful each time. So the evidence of this is that the gene stealers are there well ahead of the Tyranids. So at some point, they've been planted in advance and activated when the Tyranids get close.
Sure.
So perhaps these have been left behind from a previous consumption. Um, however, what goes sort of contradictory to this is that according to some accounts, there are no biomass at all left
Yeah,
after
they
the Tyranids
eat
have been through.
absolutely everything, right?
Yes,
That's what I
however,
thought.
but maybe once everything's been completely consumed, they just go
Well, then
around and
they enter
they go and
farmer mode.
plant all their little gene stealers in little, I don't know, whatever little eggs on each planet, so that they sort of lay dormant until they get activated. Then they get activated, and they release these little spores into the environment. And then by the time the Tyranids get there, they can help them in their invasion, and then they can come around and farm them again.
But how does like normal life kind of restart if everything is like really stripped down to the like the bacteria, so to say?
Well, that's a great question, but if you we know that the Tyranids can evolve very quickly, right? and they can
Mhm.
basically the brood mothers can just poop out stuff at will. So let's say what they do is they consume all of the biomass in the galaxy, and then they just send out little spores of, I don't know, like bacteria. I mean, our current in real life, our say like most widely accepted theory of how human life started on this planet is that there was some sort of, say, like comet or something with a bit of a blob of matter landed in the ocean, and then cells combined and eventually evolved to animals, right? So
Yeah, or
maybe
specifically like some goop that just had like electricity got gone through it, kind of creating some kind
yeah,
of spark of life, right?
exactly. So perhaps they create life once they've consumed all life.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Be nice to know somebody's gonna, fix everything once, restart everything once it's all fucked.
Yeah. So what do you think about this theory?
So first of all, I want to say that this reminds me, the way you explained it reminds me of the garbage collector in programming codes, where because like basically, not to get too like technical, but like when you write like a programming language, there's like every modern one has like a little machine or a program that goes and like eats up all the like dead variables that aren't useful anymore, where you like you say like, oh, I need to save this thing in like a like a number for your bank account or whatever that's not going to be used anymore. And then you have like a program that goes like nom 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 nom, it just eats it all up, because back in the old days you had to do that yourself, and you go like, oh, this is not needed anymore, terminate, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
this sounds like the Tyranids is actually the garbage collector from fucking C++.
So they're just taking up the trash in each galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like the fact that there's like literally nothing left after they consume everything, because I assume that just doesn't just mean like sentient or like alive things, but really like all the everything that is like somehow a carbon life form, or like
Yeah.
that seems to contradict the fact that there's anything left. Like there's something would be maybe when they explode later, they like shower the galaxy with all their own biomass, and that
Yeah,
could
maybe
restart.
maybe it's like once they all the little fish consume each other until there's like one big fish left, and then the big fish just like it's got so much poop inside it, it just goes boom, and it just it spreads poop all over the whole galaxy and just fertilizes everything, and it starts again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so basically, just they end up as fertilizer. That sounds good.
Yeah, or like it shits out loads of fertilizer to like shoot itself towards the next galaxy, and all the fertilizer just like gets scattered across the galaxy, and then in
Mm,
the next cosmic cycle it comes back, and everything's back again.
yeah, nice.
So that's another theory, and I think then like one of the more interesting theories is that the say like the next one is that they're engineered in some way. So they were created in another galaxy, engineered, and then sort of they sent them over to this galaxy in order to pave the way for a future invasion.
Yeah.
Um, and this would
Um,
sort of imply that the hive mind is like really powerful, and that there's even more powerful force at large in the universe in some way. Um, and this is kind of what you mentioned maybe as well, sort of alluding to that. So they've
yeah.
actually been engineered in a way that you send off the Tyranids towards the galaxy, and they eat all the biomass, and then you come in and you populate it yourself.
Yeah, sure. And this actually is very similar to I mean, StarCraft, right? The video game that's kind of originally was based on or was supposed to be like a Warhammer thing, but then they made their own IP. And that's how the like let's say Tyranid equivalent in that universe, the Zerg, that kind of ended up, when you play all the campaigns, be revealed that there's like some kind of old ones type of entity in that galaxy that kind of engineered the Zerg to do this kind of a job, like get rid of all the bullshit, so to say, so to like pave the way for something better.
Yeah,
So I think,
So
I mean, aren't the old ones also a thing in, like, at least in the old fluff? I think for
yeah,
40k,
so
there's like these kind of
I
cosmic
haven't
beings.
finished with my full theory yet, but
Okay.
it's coming in a second. So just to make a note of this, they are fighting each other as well in sometimes. So it could imply like multiple creators, not of a single purpose. Um, so it could be that there are many of these like ultra hive minds or ultra, I don't know, say let's call it a super powerful psyker in other
Hmm.
galaxies who all want to conquer the Milky Way, and they're all sending their own individual, like say, like hive fleets out to pave the way, um, something like that. So there's also some questions there. So because they are fighting each other, you could argue that maybe there's like multiple factions at play who all want to conquer the Milky Way galaxy.
Maybe they all have their like standard issue template to create their own Tyranid hive fleet, and they're like, "Oh, I want one as well." And it's
They've
just
got the 3D printers at home.
yeah, exactly, just like burring out new galaxy destroyers.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's another theory as well in this kind of vein as well, that they were engineered, but they were engineered by accident. So it was created as an experiment and then got loose, consumed
Hmm.
either the creator and the galaxy, or just escaped into the void. And
Yeah,
it was sort of an accident, and now someone's created this exceptionally quickly evolving biomass destructor, and in the process created these like basically unstoppable creations, and then
yeah.
ended up at the Milky Way galaxy wiping clean all the biomass by purely by an accident.
Yeah, I mean, this seems to me to be like quite reasonable, likely in a way, right? Because the fact that they don't leave anything doesn't seem very useful for if you're gonna come in and like do something else yourself afterwards. Like you'd like there to be some resources, something to work with,
Yeah, I
but
think
it feels like it's just like a
terraform
rock
something you'd
afterwards, you
want.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the real estate is probably only as good as what's on there already, right?
yeah.
And then you mentioned the old ones, so this is linking back to the old ones and the general background. So we know what happened with the old ones was that they were basically at war with the Necrons. The elves were sort of a creation of the old ones, and the orcs were a creation of the old ones, and they were using the elves and the orcs to fight the Necrons.
Yeah.
And then something happened. Well, I don't know whether it was like when the elves burst Slanesh, or basically the old ones were losing. I can't remember what happened, but they disappeared for whatever reason. So there's another theory that the old ones escaped to another galaxy and then engineered the Tyranids, whether by accident made
For
something good,
revenge.
and
For
then
revenge.
sent them off back to the Milky Way galaxy to wipe it clean so that they
Yeah.
could return. And maybe the old ones, we know that the old ones are powerful psychers, so maybe the old ones are actually the hive mind. And, there's multiple hive minds, or
Yeah.
maybe there's one hive mind, as we said. Um, and I think a funny nod here is that I think that squigs are basically Tyranids.
Okay.
So if you think everything you know about squigs, they're actually Tyranids.
Just like little mushrooms growing into big balls that want to eat stuff, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the orcs and the Tyranids are somewhat, like, in a way, feel very similar, right? It's just that the orcs end up just doing goofy shit once they become mature rather than just eating everything.
If you remember, the orcs were intended as like the strong arm of the old ones, but they
Yeah.
were also intended that they had the old ones um, to constantly control them. But now there's no old ones to control them. The orcs kind of just go do their own shit.
Yeah, just go have fun, you know?
Yeah, and so because I think squigs are some sort of tyrannid, and we know that the orcs were created by the old ones. Maybe that's like actually shows that this is the correct theory.
Yeah, like an indication. Like, I also feel like it does seem like everything kind of should be connected, rather than just being just a like, oh, they're just some random stuff from another place that has nothing to do with anything happening here. You're like, okay, well,
Yeah, I mean, why the Milky Way? But it's
yeah,
also that's also like the age old argument, right? That even in today's like real world, like we only know of our own existence because we've only experienced our own existence. So if you're
sure,
looking at that like an extent as an existential mirror of the galaxy itself, like we only know of the existence of stuff inside our own galaxy,
yeah,
and so therefore we, in this 40k sense, they they the only way that they would know about the stuff inside their own galaxy is because it happened in their own galaxy. So they have no way of
sure.
telling what's going on in another galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. But that's also leads to if they're just kind of hunting for new places to eat everything, just the scale of space makes that really funny to imagine. Just like how
Yeah,
many Tyranids there must be out there, because there's the most of reality, or it's just empty, right? Like it's you probably like if you go into the real world and go like, what is the likelihood if I just leave the galaxy and travel in a random direction that I will
yeah,
hit something else? Like I mean, of course, if you go on forever, maybe that you will hit something, but it's more like for anything that is relatively close in terms of space, it's just like basically impossible, right? Unless you were actually steering very accurately towards something.
yes. And this perfectly brings me to my final theory,
Oh,
which is so it is basically saying that the Tyranids are attracted by the Astronomicon.
oh, okay, yeah. By by how sexy the emperor is, he's just sitting
Yeah,
there in his little chair, being all
yeah,
coy about it.
swinging his dick.
Yeah,
So because he's created this beacon in the warp, it basically attracts the Tyranids to Terra,
yeah,
and that's why the Tyranids have suddenly appeared. Because the hive mind is obviously like a big super intelligence, some
yeah,
sort of psychic energy, and so the Tyranids have come to the Milky Way because the hive mind has sensed life because there's some sort of say like disturbance in the warp or psychic beacon, which is basically what it is, right? It's like a
yeah.
psychic beacon that they use to navigate, but the Tyranids can also use it to navigate towards Terra.
Yeah,
And
that I mean, there's no Tyranids in during the Horus Heresy, right? So I mean, that does seem kind of reasonable because that's before he turned on the flashlights, I'd say.
yeah, exactly. So, and then my fringe theory here, which is sort of my own idea, is that so say that the Tyranids they all they want to do is consume stuff, but eventually they're gonna if let's say they what it runs its course and they consume everything in the entire universe, then what do they do? So
Well,
my
explode.
idea, yeah, exactly. They get so fat that they run out of they have so much poop that they just explode, right? However, one thing that they could do is that they could try to get to the realm of chaos, which is in theory an infinite realm of energy,
Yeah,
start to consume that. So, my theory is that the Tyranids were attracted by the Emperor when he sets off the beacon, and the hive mind is smart that it knows what the beacon is for. It knows that it's for like, okay, we this is like a way of like navigating through the warp, and that means that these people in this galaxy know about the warp and they know how to navigate in the warp, which means they know how to get into the warp, and so therefore they want to go over to the Milky Way. They want to learn, like their biomass needs to learn about creatures who can go into the warp, like say like demons, and then they want to learn how to consume that biomass, and then learn how to get access to the warp by consuming all these things, and then enter the warp and start consuming the energy in the warp, and therefore have infinite energy for the rest of time. And that's my mic drop moment.
But aren't they already like yeah, I mean they're definitely connected to the warp, right? Like that's like how they sense things and communicate and stuff as
Yeah,
well.
but they don't travel through the warp, right?
No, that's
Not
true.
right now. And they don't, but they're psychic enough that they can communicate over great distances.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm thinking like what is the entrance to the warps that we really know of is like the webway, right? So that would be like I would think that's like kind of where if you want to get into the warp in a safe manner, that's like the first way to
yeah,
go, so to say.
potentially. And this was actually also in the Valador novel that they tried to get into the webway.
Yeah.
But if you can imagine that that eventually they will evolve, say like special body parts to consume, say like warp energy, so that because like if you think like when demons die, then the energy
Hmm.
just dissipates back to the warp, right?
Yeah,
But if
sure.
you imagine that they could actually get consumed by, say, like a special Tyranid organism that's evolved to consume demons or consume, like, say, like magical energy, warp energy, then that would make them able to actually sustain themselves from magic, for want of a better word. And if they could
Yeah.
get into the realm of chaos or into the warp, then they would just have endless energy to consume for the rest of time.
Yeah, I mean that does seem like a pretty sweet deal if they can pull it off.
It's a bit of a stretch, but my fourth and final theory of the night.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I feel like it's also just as likely that there's no end goal, and then it's like it's kind of like when physicists talk about like our galaxy, where it's like, oh, eventually it will all just kind of burn out and just be darkness and black and dead. You're like, okay,
Yeah, well, that's what they
but
think,
that's like
right?
millions of years in the future. Don't worry about it.
But in this case, it would take millions and millions of years for them to consume everything, right?
Yeah.
So what happens once they've consumed everything? But anyway, okay. So from these four theories, which theory do you like the most?
Okay, so maybe let's recap,
Recap.
right? So
So you've got the predator theory where they're purely coming just to consume everything. The harvester theory where they come, they consume the galaxy, they replant, and then they come back in a million
yeah, and
years.
come and harvest again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The engineering theory where there's some sort of creator, be it the old ones or someone from another galaxy who's created the Tyranids,
Yeah,
and
a
then
science experiment gone
them
wrong.
sent them towards the Milky Way in order for them to consume everything, or yeah, an accident, or my like Astronomicon sent because they're coming to consume the Emperor theory.
So I think maybe like a little bit of column A and column B, because I feel like to me like what feels most likely is this the idea that they're engineered by something that's connected to the rest of let's say the fluff or whatever, right? But at the same time, I do feel like the reason that they're coming is because the Astronomicon is like a huge light bulb in the warp. So
Mm-hmm.
perhaps you could also like it could also be that they're coming from somewhere. They don't really know, where to go. So most of them maybe were just drifting through space, so to say. And then somebody just put on like the biggest like bug catcher light in the in the galaxy. They're like, "Fuck, dude, that looks so
Oh, it's
good.
tasty over there.
Yeah, let's go." And he's
Yeah.
just going into the space fleet homewards and oh fuck, oh let's try again. Oh, how many rerolls do you get? Oh no.
What, you get 18 shots? Oh, that really hurts. Yeah. So also asking some questions about the Tyranids in general, not necessarily like where they are, what they come from. Like, do you feel that the Tyranids are the main threat to, say, the Imperium and the galaxy, or are the Necrons something that more that we should be worrying about, or is it actually chaos?
This is something that I feel personally is like one of my issues with the setting in general is that they try to set up too many main threats. And like a good example is when they released this edition, I believe, was when the starter box was Leviathan, I guess is the right way
Yeah,
to say it, right? Where it was like, oh, this edition, the main threats could be the Tyranids, and then it just kind of dies out because, of course, they weren't planning on releasing Tyranids the whole edition, you know. And to me, I think like from a narrative perspective, it's much more compelling with chaos being like the main, let's say, threat to like the protagonist, which obviously is the all the Imperium factions, right?
yeah,
And because it's like you have this like very fleshed out story with all these characters and personalities, whatever that you could like play off of. Whereas like the Tyranids are just kind of they're just like a thing
yeah.
that's
There's no character really because it's just
yeah like
a hive mind that's yeah. There's no. I mean, aside from wanting to consume, there's no existential goal.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like noticed that when I was reading the Votan novel that they released with the codex a while back, and one of the like at least in the beginning, one of the main antagonists is like Tyranids, and it kind of becomes a bit bland because like you can't graft on so much personality to like the antagonist of the novel, and yeah, and that to me is like a bit of a yeah like a bit of a problem, so to say. And at the same time, it's like it's very difficult to bring that forward because oh well, if they're close to winning, what happens? Yeah, well, everybody's just dead. Okay, cool. Whereas like at least when you have like a let's say like an evil villain taking over things like with chaos or maybe Dark Eldar or whatever, right? Like you have like a bit of a like oh shit they took over this world and now they're all like slaves or like this thing happened or they're using this for like some dark ritual or and like now something's changing kind of thing rather than just like oh yeah they won so now everybody's just dead.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, to me, chaos don't really seem like much of a threat. I mean, I'm quite new still to the lore, and I haven't read all that much. But it seems like chaos to me are kind of hidden away in the Eye of Terror, and they every now and again they come out and they destroy a few worlds and then go back into the Eye of Terror. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the big changes in the setting in the recent years. I mean, it's been a while now since they did the big setting change. I don't know how many years exactly, but let's say 6, 7 years. Was that they because it was like that a long time where like a banner would come out to go like haha, and then he conquer a few words and go like oh no, and then he goes back. But then they made him like explode the Eye of Terror and split the galaxy in half and stuff like that. So like then I guess that was a way to like up the stakes or like progress the story to some extent. So at least from my understanding is like currently we're living in a 40k universe where chaos is kind of everywhere and the warp is everywhere and it's like just a constant issue and like the Imperium being like really under peril, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how logistics work in
I
in this,
don't
but
worry about it.
yeah, don't worry about it. Just the story needs to happen. So
Yeah.
just consume more product.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that basically wraps up my thoughts on the Tyranids and where they're from. Well, where they're not from, where they might be from, what they want to do, and yeah, whether they were engineered or not. But we don't
Yeah.
know, and I don't think we're ever going to know, and I hope we actually never know because
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
actually makes it a good kind of story in some way. If we find out, then it's not going to be as fun. But hopefully, this was interesting. And if you have your own theories, then join the Discord and send us some. Send us actually what you think, or
Exactly.
if you think
Send
I'm
us some
right,
kooky
then
kooky theories,
yeah, if you think yeah some tinfoil hat stuff, that's what we want.
Yeah.
And if you think I'm right about any of my theories, or especially with my consumption of the immaterium theory, then yeah, let me know as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
thanks.
don't. I can't accept that one because then then I'll have to be scared for my own things as well.
Yeah, the demons will actually have to might get eaten as well.
Yeah, that's not good. Can't have that.
Because I guess like right now, like if the Tyranids are trying to eat the demons, then it's probably like a bit of a sad sandwich, really.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding of like the fluff is that like the main issue for chaos with the Tyranids is that once there's the Tyranids, they don't like leave, they don't fuel chaos in any way because they don't really have any feelings, like they don't leave like a signature in the warp in that way, which like humans and aliens
Yeah,
and like other aliens do. So the main threat to chaos if Tyranids win is that there's nobody to like have strong emotions to like kind of fuel the
fuel
warp
the
anymore. So
gods.
the
Yeah,
so the gods would kind of die in a way because there's nobody fucking around.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Because I guess the hive mind has no desire aside from consuming, right?
Yeah, maybe there's a new chaos god of consumption.
Yeah. Or
It's
maybe the
called
hive
Games
mind
Workshop.
maybe the hive mind is a chaos god. That's another
Yeah,
theory
yeah,
that we didn't
yeah,
talk about.
for sure.
So perhaps the hive mind is a chaos god of consumption.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like Nurgle is not consumption. Nurgle is decay, right? It's like
Yeah,
the everything kind of dying and this like slowly slowly like molding, so to say.
yeah. Like breaking down into smaller and smaller parts, I guess.
Yeah,
But consumption is something else, is metamorphosis in a different way. It's sort of
yeah,
go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
yeah, for sure. They got him more.
Maybe there's another theory here, Casimir.
Yeah, shit.
One that I missed. But I think there's many different options, and I don't think, as I said, I don't think it's. I think you could debate this over and over and over again. Um, but I think
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
what we're sure about is that they don't poop and that they
Yeah,
explode
exactly.
when they get
I was actually
when they
looking
eat
at
too much.
there's like one of the Tyranid moles that has like a little armor plate over where its asshole should be, so it's like literally taped up, forcing
Which one?
itself not
Which
to
one's
release.
that?
I think it was called like a Biovore, or I don't know, like one of the gun ones, like fairly new model.
Okay, so I
I've
have it
lost it now.
open. I
Or
have it
no,
open.
let's see. I was able to find it. It's like one with a big gun on his back. Yeah, a Pyrovore. That one. If you take it in the
Pyrovore.
3D view and
Oh
you
yeah,
turn it around to the back, it has a little armor plate over his butt.
I'm gonna do that right now. There we go.
It's just
Yeah, it
like
does.
wearing
It's
a
true.
yeah, it's wearing a turned diaper.
It's like a little nappy. Yeah,
Yeah.
or it's like a little seat for it. Oh, but maybe the butthole is this thing. These little holes in the tail.
Yeah,
And
that
he's
looks
got
more like
lots of buttholes.
filters. Holes.
Uh,
Gets worse and worse.
we're gonna have to dig into this. We'll come back on the next podcast, and we're gonna have
Exactly.
done some more research onto Tyranid buttholes and see how many have buttholes and how many
Yeah.
don't.
See
And
how
based
deep we can
based on that,
probe this topic.
based on that, we're gonna know.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. On that note, thanks for listening, and we will see you on the next one.